Super Rugby Trans-Tasman, the final game of the third round. The Highlanders hosting the Rebels, technically, in Sydney. And it's 42 points to 27. That's 3 wins on the trot for the Highlanders. It's another loss for the Rebels. It's another bonus point dropped for the Highlanders, which in the scheme of this competition is pretty costly. It's not quite as bad as the calamity of the Chiefs' loss yesterday, which, barring other teams losing, has pretty much ruled them out. But these bonus points are starting to rack up for the Highlanders. I mean, credit to them because they had a bit of a disrupted travel schedule. I've just seen Ash Dixon interviewed after the game, and he talked about how they just wanted to get the game played, keen to play, respect the opposition and whatnot. They were in Perth a week ago. I assume they came back to New Zealand only to find out they've got to go back to Australia. So really disrupted. They would have much rather been playing in Queenstown. I'm sure the Rebels would have been much rather playing in Queenstown as well. Hopefully, if there are any teams that are just travelling abroad, hopefully they can stay and not expect to just jump and travel. I don't know. But either way, this game itself, despite the disruptive build-up, was pretty good entertainment, I thought. The Highlanders kind of brought it pretty strong. The Rebels came right back into it, which is something they've been progressively getting better week after week. Because remember, they got absolutely demolished in their first game. They scored a few points in their second game, and they've scored a few more points. I think it was no tries in their first game, 2 tries in their second game, and 4 tries in their third game. So that seems like progressive improvement. But yeah, pretty entertaining, I thought, especially the second half. Proper kind of pandemonium stuff. Had a bit of handbags. There was a bonus point on the line. I mean, it went from the Rebels needing a conversion to make the game winnable at the end to the Highlanders needing to score one more try to get it as a bonus point victory within a few minutes of each other. It was kind of mad. But anyway, a few events for the game, some stats, and you guys let me know your thoughts on how it went. Early tries for the Highlanders. Collins got one pretty much on 2 minutes. That was from a line-out move. Aaron Smith chipped it over to Collins and made it 7-0. And then Tompkinson got the second one out on the right wing. Again, from turnover ball. And that's been a real theme. Kiwi teams love scoring from turnover ball. And we've seen that a heap of times in Super Rugby Trans-Tasman. 14-0. But Marika Koroibete finally gets on the scoreboard himself. After having what's still been a pretty respectable season, man. He's been busting up, getting run meters, getting clean breaks and whatnot. And he finally got over the try line himself. I think it was Worth who drew a man and then got it to Koroibete. They missed the conversion, so it was 14 points to 5. Commentators wanted to kind of look at the grounding, but I thought he got enough of it to make it a pretty clear grounding for mine. And then Elof got one, so 2 tries in a row for the Rebels. It was a second attempt after he'd knocked it on previously in a previous set before they'd gone back for a penalty to... He'd gone over the line and he just said to the ref he knocked it on. So a good bit of honesty from him, and he's rewarded with a try because they tapped it from that penalty and he got another crack at it, and sure enough he went over. So 14-12. 2-point ball game at half time, man. Proper close. Rebels have had more possession, more territory. Highlanders turnovers conceded rates a bit high. Rebels have had slightly more run meters. Highlanders set piece was struggling a wee bit, but why they weren't struggling was their defence. It was mostly pretty tight. Despite everything the Rebels are throwing at them. Second half, the Rebels actually managed to slot a 50-metre penalty after a scrum to go in front, 15 points to 14. You're kind of wondering, where is the side that scored 3 points against the Blues 2 weeks ago? It really struggled at home. So, yeah, it's pleasing progress for them, but don't write off the Highlanders because, man, a few minutes later, Uelese gets penalised. Too many penalties for the Rebels, and it's an absolutely catastrophic period of play for the Rebels. The Highlanders are absolutely phenomenal. Boy, did they capitalise on the extra man. Firstly, it's a scrum that gets a penalty try. Then it's Dixon who just kind of barges over. They have a look at it at the TMO to see if they can see a grounding, but you can't see anything. But he'd seen a grounding after the fact, the ref, so he gives an on-field try. So that's 28-15, and then Nadek, proper bit of individual brilliance. He really is that kind of phenomenal X-Factor player, and he shows that one. He chips it, regathers it, all from loose ball as well, so from kind of nowhere. And all of a sudden it's 35-15. From being 15-14 in front, or behind if you're a Highlanders fan, and then it's 35-15 21 points during the yellow card. Goodness gracious me. Don't give those Highlanders a sniff, man. They will absolutely pounce. At that point, they are in bonus point territory, but then Harmon gets yellow carded. The Highlanders have been warned for, again, same thing, too many penalties conceded. And the Rebels at one point managed to muck up an overlap by their guy right on the right wing, just kind of falling over. I guess it was the pitch or his own feet, but they kind of blew that one, but eventually got it through Gibbon. That man Worth, again, did really well to stay in field. He was almost pushed out onto the left wing, gives it to Michael Wells, and the Rebels come back in field. Eventually, Gibbon goes over. So they score their first try during the yellow card, but from there on, and it's a contrast between the Rebels and the Highlanders, as I think the Rebels' use of the extra man kind of time was really poor. They were looking to go coast to coast from their own 22. There was still over 5 minutes in the yellow card. There's still over 15 minutes in the game, which is a sizable chunk. It's not like 2 minutes left. They were playing like it was 2 minutes left. They didn't need to be trying to go for a desperate, we need to score a try now. They just needed to kind of stick to their systems and work an opportunity out of having the extra man. It would have come. But because they forced it, they gave away a penalty in their own 22, gave the Highlanders a chance to attack, but they defended at the Rebels. And then when the Rebels got a scrum, they had another crack at it, running it from their own 22, and sure enough, there was a forward pass. So that pretty much wasted the whole rest of the yellow card time. The Highlanders were just camped in the Rebels 22, so it was a bit of a disastrous period in my mind. Kind of poor decision making from the Rebels. What wasn't poor was Rob Leota, man. 72 minutes. That man Leota, man, he is quicker than he looks. He was in a foot race with some of the Highlanders' backs and went pretty close to scoring a try from a kind of hoof through, but he couldn't quite gather it over his shoulder as Nadeki timed his tackle perfectly to stop him getting another try for the Rebels. That was quite a moment, a bit of a heartbreaker if you're a Rebels fan, but a bit of a heart in your mouth moment for a Highlanders fan. But either way, the Rebels did get the next goal. Korobetsi got his second try of the game. Couldn't get one all season. This game he bags two. Good hands from the 12-10 combo from the Rebels, and Korobetsi was able to find some space out on the left wing. Crucial conversion to bring it within 7, and Tamua pushes it well wide. Clutch kick. Can't get it done. If he gets that kick, the Rebels have got a chance to win it at the death. The bonus points looking long gone for the Highlanders, but credit to the Highlanders. 78 minutes, Harmon gets a try. They go through phases. The bonus points back on, and boy did they go close. 81 minutes. Smith looks to dot down. They have a maul. Like the Highlanders got piggybacked up the field with the Rebels conceding stupid penalties. And Smith, after a maul had gone flat, they went through a few phases. He just took a snipe, got close, but just short, and then kind of bobbled the ball on the try line. So the bonus point didn't bury. That's game over. Absolutely brutal. So 42-27. I mean, you can't really complain too much about that if you're a Highlanders fan. Maybe you look at some of the other Rebels results and think, why didn't we beat them by what the other teams did? The Hurricanes and the Blues. But then that being said, like I said, the Rebels have gone from none to 2 to 4 tries. So they maybe are just getting better under this new coaching system. Remember, they replaced their coach after AU. So it's a new setup. It's going to take time to settle in. Maybe we're starting to see some of those results now. Possession finishes 54-46, and likewise the territory, the same numbers to the Rebels. Clean breaks, though, 7-1 to the Highlanders. Defenders beaten 18-8 to the Highlanders. Tackling percentage 94-84 to the Highlanders. So Highlanders' defensive and attacking numbers both pretty great. Nadeki has 92 run meters, 2 clean breaks, and 6 defenders beaten. He is proper dangerous. Korobetsi has the only clean break of the game for the Rebels, 57 run meters and 5 defenders beaten. He is also very much a handful. So both sides, left wingers, absolutely class players. I thought Michael Wells had a pretty good game. Big hits on defense. Mitch Hunt was running things pretty well. Had his goal kicking boots on, which was good to see. The Rebels are away next to play the Chiefs, and the Highlanders are at home to the Waratahs. So, to be fair, it was a decent crowd in this one. They were treated to a pretty entertaining game for two teams, which they, if they're locals, they wouldn't have really had a horse in this race, but good to see them get out there, treated to some proper entertainment. So, yeah, like I said, it's a win for the Highlanders, but with that little bit of bitterness about not being able to pick up the bonus point, which means they're 2 points behind the front runners at the moment with 2 games to go. And the Rebels, maybe they're improving. Positive signs, even if they just did ship 42 points. But anyway, you guys have any thoughts? And yeah, I'll talk to you again soon. See you later.